Hey, who doesn't love a good ranking? For this video, I thought it would be fun and also new for me just to rank my last 10 vinyl purchases. So you're gonna get a snapshot of my recent vinyl pickups as well as a ranking all at once. If you're interested in that, just keep on watching. Greetings, greetings. It is I, the introvert from Omaha. If you are new here, I love all things music and I am a consumer of vinyl. I also still buy plenty of CDs. CDs actually will always be my first love, by the way, because I grew up in the CD and cassettes era. So welcome, and I hope you find something of interest here. And if you're not new, thank you so much for making your way back. I appreciate you. So this isn't really your standard vinyl finds video. I'm just gonna rank my latest vinyl pickups without getting too analytical about it. I'm gonna try to keep this fairly short. We have a mix of stuff from the 70s through the present. One of these is actually a brand new release as well. So keep in mind that I am ranking these records just within this bunch of 10. So I'm kind of ranking these just kind of based on my personal preference. Obviously, I mean, I did buy all of these. I do like them, but it's kind of in terms of, did I like them at first listen? How long is it taking me to connect to each one of these albums, etc. Kind of that type of criteria. So think of this also as a vinyl finds video, just strictly of 10 records. So let's get started with number 10. I got the Bauhaus Kick in the Eye, Searching for Satori EP. I did put this lower in the ranking because it is an EP, so obviously it's shorter, it's not a full-length album. I found this locally, which was pretty shocking to me. So it's an original UK pressing on Beggar's Banquet. It has the gold lettering, so it's that version. The best tracks on this are Kick in the Eye and Harry. I mean, let's be honest. I do prefer the version of Kick in the Eye that's on Mask. I dig the groove and the bass on In Fear of Dub, but that track and Earwax aren't really anything memorable. They're kind of like extras, but still, I'm a fan of Bauhaus, and this was a worthy add to my collection. I think I paid less than $10 for it. If you watched my Denver Rocky Mountain record show video that I posted just last week, you'll see that I picked up an original copy of In the Flat Field. That was kind of like a grail for me, so that whole show was a rush. Now, if you want to see a recap of it, just go ahead and watch that video. So yeah, that was my number 10. Next we have Slint. This is an album called Tweez, so this is my number 9. I listened to this band kind of intermittently in the early 2000s. This is a 2004 reissue of this album that I found used. There's kind of a wavy cover action going on, but there's no mold. There's no mold, and it was cheap. I bought this at Grapefruit. This album is a mess, but an interesting mess. I guess I'll put it that way. I kind of view it as like underdeveloped sketches, but that being said, it's not boring because there's a lot to unpack with the instrumentation. It goes into like jazz and prog territory. I mean, it is post-rock, but it's also lacking a vision. Like Spiderland is so much more consistent. What's amazing is that these guys were in their teens when they recorded it. So, I mean, that's incredible. And this was recorded by Steve Albini. I'm glad I picked this up. Do I prefer and recommend Spiderland over this? Yes, but Tweez should not be dismissed. This album is a trip. Like, I don't want to seem like I'm dissing it, but, you know, better things were to come for them. And I still enjoy this record. I enjoy Ron, Carol, Warren, and Pat the most, probably. So I need to get Spiderland on vinyl. I saw a reissue of it at Grapefruit Records. I'll probably be picking up a copy there at some point in the future. Coming in at number 8, we have Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, so Lydia Lunch's band, and I just love this cover. I love it so much. This is a recent reissue on Radiation Reissues, so it's on pink vinyl. I also think that the original was on pink vinyl. I could be wrong. So that's nice. This is their debut EP. Well, it's more of like a comp, right? Because it contains the pre-EP and then this, as well as the songs that were on the No New York compilation. So, and I saved a little hype sticker on it. This is very raw punk, but it also like defies categorization. It's a quick listen. I love her crazy, like, psychotic guitars, and they are psychotic. she plays some off the wall guitar, man. Like Orphans comes to mind, that song in particular. But a few videos ago, I showed some James Chance related records, and I really like those. She contributed on James White and the Blacks, the Off-White album. I think she just like sings on one track, or she moans rather. But this is really shocking if you've never heard music from the no wave genre. So it's like a lot of dissonant guitars and you're not getting the typical song structure. So if you're ready to traverse into that realm, I would check this out for sure. And I put this at number 8 because, I don't know, I have to be in the mood to listen to this. I mean, this was pretty wild and cutting edge for its time though. It's actually pretty damn cool, so I'm glad I picked it up. Coming in at number 7, I picked up Radioactivity by Kraftwerk. So yeah, I've been working on my Kraftwerk collection probably the past few years, and this is a reissue from 1993. I got it for less than $10. I didn't think much of this record upon my first spin. I still much prefer Computer World and Man Machine. You'll see Man Machine behind me. I do recognize how mind-blowing this must have been to hear it upon its release, like back in 1975. Just the innovation of it, you know. This definitely established them fully in that electronic sound. So some of these are more like interludes and not fully fleshed out songs with any melody. So for me, that kind of knocks it down a few points. And that's also just me in that I do like the typical song structure most of the time anyway. The songs I enjoyed most are Radioactivity, Airwaves, Antenna, and Om Sweet Om. Yeah, so this is that reissue on Capitol. I picked it up down at 402 Vinyl. So yeah, I mean, this is good, but it didn't wow me like the 3 albums that came out after this one. Still, I have no regrets in picking this up. All right, coming in at number 6, we have 14 Iced Bears, and this is their debut album. I had to buy this one from one of my favorite overseas vendors because I knew I would never find it around here. But this is an original 1988 pressing. It was also reissued in 2017 as like a 2 LP expanded version. And it was more affordable for me to actually get the original copy. So yeah, this band was from London. They were part of that C86 scene. So there's a lot of jangle on this as well as psychedelia. Check out Train Song, like the guitars in that. My favorite tracks are Holland and Surfacer. There's a few duds, but it's a really satisfying listen, and maybe you've never heard of this band. Very overlooked release, and I recommend a lot of the C86 bands to like just look into that whole scene. Close Lobsters, who else? Shop Assistants, Mighty Lemon Drops, Primal Scream, The Pastels, goes on and on. I love the indie bands of that era. Close Lobsters. I get the feels with Close Lobsters. Like, my allegiance to the Close Lobsters is very strong. If you've been watching my channel for a few years, then you probably know that. All right, number 5, we are moving right along. Halfway through the list, we've got, first of all, I'll mention that we stopped at the Des Moines Record Show last weekend, and it was a little bit underwhelming. I usually walk out with lots of records from any record show. I walked out with 3 from this one, but actually they were pretty great ones, so I'm saving the 2 others for my Grails video that will be coming up. But this is my second March Violets pickup, both of them being comps. I think I prefer the other comp that I got before this, actually, and I'll show that really quick. Yeah, I prefer this compilation that's called Electric Shades. I also like the photo on there. So this is the comp I actually would recommend. And then the one I'm talking about specifically for this video is called Natural History. Right here. So Natural History kind of compiles their early singles from 1982 and 1983. And I started listening to March Violets just this year, and they're kind of like a goth / post-punk band. Like comparison bands would be Sisters of Mercy, Bauhaus. If you don't like a drum machine, then you're probably gonna cringe at this particular release. I used to hate the drum machine, but then I really slowly warmed up to it. I really like it now, especially on Cocteau Twins releases. Anyway, my favorite songs on this are Grooving in Green and Strangehead. I also like 1, 2, I Love You. So I just feel like there are better songs on Electric Shades, as I mentioned, and there's also better production on that, and it's like a more vibrant era. But it's great to hear their early material, and I still highly enjoy this release. It's just more embryonic, you know? So that was my number 5. Next, we have an exciting newish reissue. So this is the Exploding Hearts with their only album, Guitar Romantic, and this was put out by Third Man just a few months ago for their 20th anniversary. So this is the only album they put out because 3 of the band members were killed tragically on an accident on their way back home from a gig. It was like a van accident. So supposedly there's a documentary in the works about this band. I definitely am looking forward to seeing that whenever it is released. It's just hard to believe this came out in 2003, honestly, because it very much has like the 70s power pop and punk vibe. So they were compared to the Undertones, the Buzzcocks, the Only Ones, Cheap Trick, the Clash. It's punk, it's rock and roll, it's punchy and infectious. Like, what more could you want? These guys were so young and they made this spectacular album, but that was it for them, unfortunately. Just think what else they could have done if that accident had not occurred, you know? There literally isn't a weak track on this album. It's really remarkable. I just got the standard black vinyl version. I think they had like a splatter version as well, but love the opening song with modern kicks. I'm a Pretender. I think my favorite song might be Sleeping Aids and Razor Blades though. So yeah, I'm really glad I finally got this in my collection. I didn't even have it on CD before. So Exploding Hearts with Guitar Romantic. Alright, my number 3 just came out on Friday and I'm filming this on Monday, the Labor Day holiday, but I was able to spin this 4 times over the weekend just so I could, you know, get a good feel for it. So at my number 3, I put Slow Dives, Everything is Alive. Again, like I said, this came out on Friday. So how exciting to get a new album from them. I posted this on my Instagram. This album has already made an impact on me. Their last album was, 6 years ago? And that was fantastic too. I like more of the electronic experimentation on this, like with the inclusion of more synths. They let us hear the song Kisses a few months ago, and after that tease, I was like, okay, I know this is gonna be really good, and it is. This is like just the perfect ethereal and atmospheric album going into the late summer season and into autumn. I was just totally mesmerized by this over the weekend, and it will keep revealing more colors and emotions within me, I'm sure. So really good release. The most shoegazy track to me is Shanty, the opener. So this band is evolving and maturing, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's been a privilege to go on this journey with them and hear their new direction. Neil Halstead and Rachel Goswell, like, I'm just so glad they're still making music together. What a treat. So this all being said, when it comes to shoegaze, like Slow Dive, I wouldn't place them in my top 5 shoegaze bands. Top 10, sure, but I wouldn't consider this album shoegaze. I still prefer their earlier EPs and their first 2 records. Like, I feel like I connected with those the most, but I'm enjoying their newer sound too, so you could say I'm evolving right along with them. So I decided to pick up just the black vinyl version of this, which I think is limited edition, which is kind of weird. Like, it's not the standard version. I think the standard version is just clear. But yeah, Slow Dive's new one, I decided to put it at my number 3. Really enjoying that. Alright, my number 2 is the Wolfgang Press with an album called Bird Woodcage. I don't even think I have featured Wolfgang Press on my channel before. A few years ago when we went on this little trip to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, they have this cool record store there called Total Drag. If you ever are in that area, check out that record store. But I picked up 2 of their albums there. One is behind me, and then yeah, I grabbed the other one too and put it down here. This is more of like a comp. It's the legendary Wolfgang Press and other tall stories. Yeah, and these were actually pretty cheap. Now I don't know what they're worth now, but I got a pretty good deal on them. So yeah, I've just been revisiting their albums recently, and I just bought this one from my favorite overseas vendor, and I can't get enough of them lately. Talk about a band that has more of an original sound. Like, I've read people comparing this to Nick Cave meets the Talking Heads. I get some Public Image Limited vibes too. All I know is that this sounds incredible on vinyl. And they were on 4AD. I'll go ahead and show the label. This is just so strange and appealing to me. I love the post-punk with the funky bass. The bass lines are very prominent. It's one of those albums I can't properly describe. So my favorite tracks are King of Soul, Bottom Drawer, Kansas, See My Wife, and Hang On Me. Show that really quick. So perhaps this is an album from 1988 that you've never heard. I recommend it, obviously, if you're familiar with it. What are your thoughts? I'm really digging the Wolfgang Press a bunch lately, so that is my number 2. Okay, my number 1 is Guided by Voices. Under the Bushes, Under the Stars. Many of you here are Guided by Voices fans, I already know, but if you need a brief description, they are one of the best lo-fi alternative rock bands ever. They're probably most recognized for their 90s output. I have added several of their albums on both CD and vinyl to my collection this year. It's been gratifying rediscovering them again. My introduction to them was B1000 back in 2004 or 2005. Shout out to my friend the Vinyl Darling on Instagram. I think Under the Bushes, Under the Stars is their favorite album, and I can see why. Like, this is a band that's hard to keep up with. They're always releasing albums. The amount of music is overwhelming. My experience is that Guided by Voices records get better upon each listen, and even though their formula is seemingly simple, like, more layers are revealed with repeated spins. So this is about an hour long, so you need to have the time to devote to it. Well, this version has like the EP tacked onto the second disc, and the songs on that EP are freaking amazing. So I think this is the last album with the classic lineup. I really enjoy having this more expanded edition, but Robert Pollard's pop melodies are more perfected here. So the songs are short, so you don't have the excuse of getting bored. The songs I really enjoy. I love Cutout Witch, the official Iron Man rally song, Your Name is Wild, Acorns and Orioles, Underwater Explosions, Atomize. I mean, I could go on and on. This floored me. Like, what's your favorite Guided by Voices album? I have yet to hear the newest one. I've been reading really rave reviews about it. I've just been really preoccupied listening to like their 90s offerings into the 2000s, so I'm really lagging on their newer stuff. But this is my number 1 for sure. So we have reached the end of the video. You just heard me flapping my jaws about my last 10 vinyl purchases in a ranking style. Let me know if you like me doing my vinyl finds videos in this way, in this ranking format. If I get enough good feedback, maybe it will become a regular series on my channel. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. It's always special to have you here hanging out in the record room with me, and I will see you at the next video.